Hello everybody, this is take number 3. I'm going up the walls with this video. I hope I'll get it right now. So, I want to talk about joy today, but I'm going to take you through an emotional journey. There is a story with it associated. Here's my declared stake here. I don't necessarily intend for you boys and girls out there watching to remain with something in terms of information. My stake here is that you remain with a sense of emotional imprint that you will also be able to translate into your, sexual life, whether with somebody or just yourself. So please remember, this is my stake here, and I declared it in a very masculine way from the beginning. Please stay with me till the end and give me feedback if I did it or not, because I can only do my best to convey, but I would love to know if this is received and easily applied or not, so that I can perfect the method. Okay, now coming to our story. So I got a comment, actually I came across an older comment from a woman on an interview that I gave 2 years ago. It's a Romanian interview. The woman who wrote wrote in Romanian, but this isn't just for Romanian women. This is for a lot of women out there. So I'm going to read you the comment. Please bear with me. This is a heavy comment, a heavy story, but we're going to go through it and we're going to transcend it also. Okay? Here we go. My beloveds, she's talking about I and the woman that was interviewing me. My beloveds, I did not know since the beginning of my marriage why I was having forced sex, and I didn't like it. My partner was always in a rush. He didn't caress me at all. I felt like a cow, in between quotes, that was laying there to be humped. But my mother taught me that this is what I should do, to lay and do my duty as a woman. That this is what we women are like. We have to have sex, even if we like it or not. But I felt worse and worse. I felt that I didn't mean anything, that I wasn't important. I wanted to go up the walls, and I wanted to have sex in such a way that I too felt pleasure. After a few years, I went to a gynecologist woman who told me that it was normal for it to be like that. I gave up and I carried on as I had been, but I still did not feel well. I didn't want to seek anybody else because it's a shame, it's a sin. What kind of a trashy woman do I want to be? It's not okay for a married woman to do this, especially that I was also a mother. I kept thinking of my child, what kind of a mother my child had. So I ended up today at 48 with an unsatisfied body. My head hurts always. I don't feel like waking up in the morning and getting out of bed. It's as if I feel not alive. My husband tells me every now and then that he stayed with me like that because we have a home and there's nothing he can do about it. That's life. I want to clarify for myself what I have to do still, so that I wouldn't live this experience that is so destructive for the both of us. That's heavy. And let me assure you, this isn't the only time that I've heard this story. I've had a woman also 2 years ago in my practice who married a virgin, didn't have any information from her mother, from any other woman, from anybody else about sexuality, and she had sex, though she wasn't enjoying it, with her husband because she had to, right? Right, quote unquote, because it's not right. And she ended up, after a few years, begging and crying to not have sex. So she would show that. She would cry and beg her husband to not have sex anymore because she didn't like it. It was painful to her. I do not know what goes on in the soul of a man whose woman is so miserable in their intimacy and also crying and also begging to not, and he still carries on. I do not know. I will tell you right here and right now. I have no idea. And I also don't know the physicality of a man's sexuality because I haven't lived in a man's body. So I'm going to refrain from saying anything. But when it comes to women, I do know that it's not as easy to feel pleasure as it is for men. And fulfillment is a whole different ballgame. So that's the next level, and many women are still in the place where they don't know what pleasure is, and they don't know how to be in pleasure. And their entire lives, not just their intimate life, but their entire lives are not conducive to pleasure. So I answered to this woman, and I shared with her that, well, I didn't put it in words, because if I had put it in words, I would have told her that is sexual trauma. That's what it looks like. Okay? A woman that doesn't feel like waking up out of bed. She feels like she's a cow just laying there to be humped. She feels like she doesn't mean anything, that she wasn't important. She feels like she's not alive. That's what trauma does. And it doesn't have to come only through rape. Sexual trauma can come through having sex in such a disconnected way that you no longer feel alive. Okay? Sexuality can do that. Why? Because it's connected to your body. Anything detrimental that you do to your body will suck the life out of it. And disconnected and inappropriate for her, sex can do that. It can make her feel dead inside. It's not rape, but it is abuse. Though if you ever went to that man and say, but she said yes. Yeah, she said yes, but she wasn't feeling it. She was going against her boundaries. You were there with her, and maybe you saw, maybe you had an idea, and yet you still carried on. That's a lot. Like, there is a lot of ignorance there from the mother also, because the mother was the one sending out the message. From the woman gynecologist also, that got me enraged. A woman gynecologist saying to another woman, it's supposed to be like that. I don't know what the fuck people used to learn in medical college. Sexuality is not supposed to feel this way. It's not. I don't know from what kind of Middle Ages that gynecologist came from, but to be a specialist in this field and say that this is how sex should be, you're coming from the Dark Ages. 1500s, 1400s, 1200. I don't even remember. You're like 1,000 years behind, or according to Tantra, maybe 5,000 years behind. Okay? So yeah, sorry for, taking you through my rage, but when you're working in this field and you see people that have a diploma and that are, people go to them for advice and they get that crappy advice, that's, man, somebody should take people out of clinic, somebody should take their license to practice away if you tell a woman that this is how it should be, when clearly that woman is in trauma. But coming back now, I want to share with you the way out of this. I'm going to take you a little bit out of this topic because I want to root it, first of all, in our everyday lives, and then I'm going to bring it back and also connect it to our sexuality. A few years back, I was listening to a speech by a woman. It was a speech on Mind Valley. I don't remember the woman's name, but she did say this. If you want to heal something, bring in the emotion of joy. Bring in joy if you want to heal something. Separate from that, I had a few moments in my life where I watched a lot what Johnny Depp, my man crush of an actor, was doing. And in the Captain Jack Sparrow era, he did a lot of great things, nailed the blockbuster, just made that blockbuster be what it is. Take out him and his character and you just don't have the charm of it. But what also he did, he dressed up as Captain Jack Sparrow, and where did he go to? Children's hospitals, where children were suffering from cancer, leukemia, and other debilitating diseases, where those children, they weren't themselves. They were stuck or pinned in bed with all sorts of wires connected to them to help them breathe or live. They weren't playing around, they weren't laughing, they weren't doing stupid things like kids do. They were in hospitals sick, having their lives draining out of them. So what did he do? Dressed up as Captain Jack Sparrow, come across as the goofy and the epitome of goofiness that he can portray. And in his own words, he saw those children like getting back the light in their, enlightening their faces and having sparks in their eyes and having smiles on their faces and hearing laughter. Laughter. Those kids were alive again and being kids. But he didn't stop there. In his interviews, he said, and then I watched behind me. On the other side of the glass window, where guess who was staying there? The parents. I got chills when I said that. And he said that he saw those parents melting. Not with sorrow, but with joy, because they were seeing their kids being joyful again, being alive. I'm going to take you out of this a little bit. Another character that I follow is the redhead lumberjack J.P. Sears, the comedian online. In the pandemic, he made a lot of videos about all sorts of things, but his videos weren't being taken down. Not only did they make people feel better, like I'm gonna be honest, just reminding myself with all the goofy faces and the goofy intonation and just the way he dressed up or didn't dress up, because some videos he was just in his underwears, but he wasn't being taken down. Why? Because the algorithm didn't know humor and didn't know sarcasm. that was the best one ever. He could spill out all the conspiracy theories, but he spilled them out the politically correct way. That would be sarcasm. And nobody would, like the AI and robots, they can't catch sarcasm. They don't have this language. It's like, this is the type of intelligence that I have no idea how anybody could program it into a freaking computer, robot, program, software, whatever. They just don't. So yeah, these are some examples of, taking a miserable situation and turning it just through doing something. And that's the creative part there. And it is creative and it is powerful. You're doing something and you're uplifting those people, bringing them to laughter and joy and serenity. So now coming back to sexuality. I did answer to that woman. I answered in Romanian and I told her that, I didn't tell her that she was experiencing trauma. It wouldn't help her to hear that. I did encourage her to go to a psychologist, because those were many years where she didn't feel alive. She didn't feel joyful. There was nothing that would make her feel hopeful and motivated and inspired to do other things in her life. So yeah, that also needs therapy. Trauma needs therapy and a therapist. But on my behalf, I told her that the practices that I do will definitely help her gradually come back to her body, understand her needs, her personal boundaries, feel alive. How? Well, through joy in sexual practices. Mind you, you're less likely to be turned on by a mature partner as acting out or being all gleeful and joyful in sexuality. Like, they're gonna seem childish, and most of us like embodied, grown, empowered adults, as we healthily should do. So that's not really possible. I mean, I do know that if I were to see a joyful guy in sex, I'd be like, okay, it wouldn't turn me on. But on your own or in a practice group, that's possible. Yes, it is. So I did bring that part, that emotion, into my practice. Joy. Yes. Through what? Well, I'm no Johnny Depp, but I'm also goofy. when I do my practice, when I have to lift weights, or when I lift weights and I hit my legs with the weights because I bounce around, whatever. I'm not going to get into details. You ladies here that took the Sex Dojo membership, you may have seen the 3rd or 4th week. I don't know where I'm showing the weightlifting. You saw me. Okay? You saw me. Thank God you did not hear me fart. The ladies in the live practice, the ones that I did it with in my hometown when we did meet in physical events, well, we went through all sorts of crazy stuff, including they heard me farting. Okay? It happens. Like, you have to push sometime in the practice. You're learning not just to squeeze and suck in, but also push out, and sometimes you're going to push out a fart also. Go figure. So all of that, like, there was no guy there. There was nobody to impress, thank God. So we could be in that way, and we could enjoy ourselves and just, carry on with our practice. And that was also part of what helped other women, because a lot of women were like, I'm so happy that you farted because I just lost a lot of tension, a lot of shyness, a lot of intimidation, a lot of God knows what other emotions they had in the beginning, because, they were doing something in a group that they hadn't done even on their own, taking a toy or a tool, inserting it into their vagina and then moving it around and paying attention to sensations and their dexterity and all that. So it's not exactly easy. It's not comfortable. So me being goofy by nature helped. Okay? It lifted up, it brought down the heaviness of the tension of the situation, and it just lifted everybody up. That's what laughter does, and joy. And it was easy from there onward. If anybody else had to fart, okay, whatever. It happened. We were carrying on with the practice. And now I'm not just saying that, please, I hope that you don't remember out of this video that you fart during your practice and that's how you heal. No, that's not it. Emotions and going through all the physical states that you can in a place where you're understood, where you're seen, where you're hugged, where you mean something. Even when you're messing up, you still mean something. And you messing up with something inspires and uplifts others. You're gonna see that. I see that in my online gym, the fitness gym that I'm a member of. The instructor there, woman, sometimes she goofs up also because she doesn't do a movement right or trips on something or whatever. Everybody has that. And yeah, that's one of the ways, that's why so many women are in her gym, because they like that kind of approach. That's what the ladies that came to my sex dojo when it was live, it's called the Jade Egg Practice, that's what they appreciated, that we were being human, not judging, not condescending, not giving lessons or being competitive. No, we were just being ourselves. And everybody was okay wherever they were. Those are the things that help us heal, And yeah, plus you also get to see somebody, like allegedly somebody that has the practice for so many years, and you get to see them goof up. Go figure. And that doesn't mean that I don't necessarily goof up around guys, but I goof up around women a lot. That's part of the sorority there. That's part of helping them feel normal and just helping them feel not so intimidated and inferior sometimes, or scared or whatever, because there's a lot of emotion around sexuality that is super not helpful. So yeah, joy, goofiness, serenity, Captain Jack Sparrow, JP Sears. Yeah. Listening to music that makes you feel funny. Those are, while you're doing the practice, those are ways in which you can uplift yourself. And sexuality isn't always to be taken heavily and seriously and just, you know, all intense and all, I don't know, concentrate and focus. Maybe sometimes you're not, and that's okay. That's part of healing, especially for somebody who comes with a story like that woman. Guys, if you stuck around, I would love to know if you've ever seen your woman, not necessarily with you in sex, but just seen her around being goofy and being okay with it. And if you ever told her that that's sexy to you. I think she'd love to hear that. Ladies, if you've remained with any kind of emotion from here, Ivan came to drink his water. I don't know if you can hear him. So if you've ever received, now in the video, at any point, received that emotion, if there's any way you can connect to it and carry it in your own sexual expression, whatever that may be, I would love, that would mean that this video, 21 minutes, were not for nothing. To the contrary, they were there to get you more empowered. I'd love to know that. And if I didn't do it so well, okay, let me know and I'll work on it in my next video. So that's it. Enjoy your Sunday. I'm gonna have a goofy practice now. Bye.